It appears that harassment of women in the online gaming community is becoming a weekly occurrence. Over this past year, stories of women being degraded and belittled for the most spurious of reasons, often for no other reason than their gender, have cropped up with dismaying regularity. And while we've talked about it before and could easily talk about it again, I want to discuss a slightly different facet to the situation, an element to these harassment campaigns that always comes up and is no less disappointing. Let's look at the most recent bit of bullshit, the attack on Zoe Quinn, developer of Depression Quest, for the crime of daring to put up her game on Steam Greenlight while also being a woman. Men online decided to teach her a lesson. She was dogpiled on social networks, her phone number was obtained and she received grotesque phone calls, and everyone was disgusted. Well, most of us were. Another subsect of gamers decided instead to look at what Zoe Quinn did wrong, what she did to deserve the harassment, and as soon as word spread of her treatment, a number of devil's advocates instinctively jumped in to admonish her for browsing the forum threads that were insulting her. Conveniently glossing over the fact she was being constantly linked to these threads and assaulted over the phone, Quinn was blamed for getting involved. There's this instinct some people have to automatically blame the target of harassment over and above, it seems, the harassers themselves, to look at what the woman did wrong and scorn her for it. I suppose it fits in with the comfortable narrative we've all been fed since childhood, that every reaction had an action to cause it, that people don't get in trouble without deserving so. So some of us sit haughtily on our thrones, sneering at victims with cries of, well, what did she expect? And she shouldn't have done this, or she should have a thicker skin, ha ha ha. In conjunction with this, and I believe in a related capacity, others did what they could to distance quote-unquote real gamers and thus exonerate themselves from the harassers. As if to cover up dog shit with newspaper and not actually clean anything, many gamers were quick to demand people stop spreading the word about Zoe's harassment because it was just the work of some frustrated forum dwellers. This happens all the time too. When angry little gamers do angry little gamer things, other game enthusiasts try to mark them as some alien entity, an unrelated sect of creatures that exists in their own little world and have nothing to do with the rest of us. Hey, it's an appealing thought, but a cowardly one that allows us to jettison our collective responsibility for the online community we all contribute to. Because whether you exist on 4chan, NeoGAF, Reddit, Game FAQs, post in the comment section of a blog, YouTube, or here at The Escapist, you're all contributing to the same online ecosystem, and what one group of us does affects the whole thing, especially on an interconnected social network like we have these days. By shrugging your shoulders and saying, nothing to do with me, you're effectively throwing the victims of our ecosystem to the wolves just so you don't have to worry about being tarred with the same brush. That you would rather focus on just how unlike the assholes you are, you really just show yourself to be another type of asshole, the craven, selfish asshole who would rather protect his own than to do so much as show a bit of support for a game developer who is being treated terribly. In attempting to border off the bad bits of your hobby and insisting we only focus on the comfortable bits, in telling off those who talk about and expose the sheer level of awfulness that happens in the name of our preferred medium, all you do is fracture the solidarity that people like Zoe Quinn would most benefit from. All you do is deflect the issue and suggest that victims of hate campaigns shut up and sit quietly, suffer in silence, so you can keep having a great time. And this ties right into the victim blaming, the finding fault with the target rather than the targeters. It's all about distancing yourself, so you can stop being so political and just talk about games, which, you know, I mean, do that. Go talk about nothing but the software itself. But don't march arrogantly into a political conversation and tell those having it to shut up just so you can feel comfy. Developers like Zoe Quinn don't have that luxury, and the least we better off sectors of the world could do, the very least, is not get haughty when someone dares suggest there's a problem in the gaming world, because there fucking well is, and you know it. If you didn't, you wouldn't be so desperate to cover it up.
Right, and going back to the Zelda Hyrule Warriors, Dynasty Warriors mashup, Game of the Year, right, with all the people who are angry about it, and they're all, Zelda, this is the Wii U Zelda game they were making, which it isn't, and it's gonna be a bad spin-off and it will kill the series. Link's crossbow training. Now shut up. Thank God for me.